Wow factor. Whoa. Hello everyone, welcome to the Dill Pickle Movie Network. I am Dylan Randazzo, and I'm so excited today to not bring you two, not three, but four Netflix reviews for movies that came out in January that I just got around to seeing. I'm so excited to talk about these four movies, so I hope you stick around for the whole thing. So without further ado, let's jump into it. The first film I'm going to be talking about is The White Tiger, directed by Ramin Bahrani. The movie centers around Balram, who dreams of escaping his life of poverty and tries to rise to the top as a driver for Ashok, the son of a wealthy landlord. Now, this movie has been compared to two Best Picture winners, Slumdog Millionaire and Parasite, for somewhat different reasons, but there are some similarities in the themes of all three. First, with Slumdog Millionaire, it's actually interesting because The White Tiger distinctly references Slumdog Millionaire, and I think it's interesting because a lot of people have had complaints that Slumdog Millionaire almost romanticizes the journey of poverty to wealth in India. And the movie makes it very deliberately clear that just winning a game show is not enough. You really have to work your way to the top if you want to move up in a caste system. And even if you do work your butt off your whole life, good things still might not come to you. The movie doesn't really shy away from these struggles, and I actually really appreciated it for that reason. Now, the Parasite comparisons, I can definitely see the comparisons in those two movies. It's about this lower class guy, or in Parasite's case, family, finding their way into this richer lifestyle and really trying to almost manipulate their way through the system. I think Parasite does deliver a little bit more on the wow factor and finding really innovative ways to tell their story, but I definitely see the thematic symbolisms between the two movies. The White Tiger does lose a little bit of steam, especially in its last 45 minutes. You know where the film is really headed, and they really draw it out a little bit too long. But I will say they really stuck the landing and gave us a very memorable final few scenes that I think will really stick with viewers and really hammer home that social commentary that the movie wants to get across. I highly recommend White Tiger, especially because of the leading performance by Adarsh Gaurav. He plays Balram, the driver. I think his performance is great, and I think the film is a really great social commentary and one of the best films of the year so far. The next film we're talking about is The Dig, directed by Simon Stone. And basically, the movie is, well, a dig. It is an excavation process on a rich widow's estate on the brink of World War II. Now, obviously from the trailers, you know this is a beautiful looking movie. Everything about it, the cinematography, the beautiful landscapes, it's really stunning to look at. But the film itself just didn't really appeal to me much from a contextual standpoint. The film really takes its time. It's super tranquil. It's very relaxing. It's the perfect movie to sit down on your couch with some cozy clothing, a blanket, a nice cup of tea. I really don't think the movie worked entirely for me, but I can see why someone would really enjoy this movie because it is a very cerebral experience. There's actually one scene that did catch my attention though, and that has to do with a scene where one of the excavators is literally buried when he's going into this excavation dig site. Some of the soil falls on top of him, and he's essentially buried head to toe underneath all the soil, and they basically have to dig him out. I won't spoil which character that is or when that comes in the film, but this actually took me back to a memory from my childhood. One of my most traumatic childhood experiences. I was at a friend's house. It was a snowstorm the day before, and we were building snow forts the next day, snowmen and snow angels and all that stuff that kids do. And I was digging a little tunnel, and I crawled into it, and the snow literally collapsed on top of me. And it was one of the most claustrophobic, terrifying experiences of my life. So to watch this scene unfold in this movie, I was like, wow, it really struck a visceral emotional reaction from me, and it honestly made me hold my breath for the whole 5 minute scene. It's interesting to see that even in a film you don't like, that one scene can still speak to you and create an emotional response out of you. And that's really great about a lot of movies that I don't really love, is that I can still find things to appreciate. I think some of the things to appreciate in this film are also the performances. Ralph Fiennes, Carey Mulligan, Lily James, they're all great. They're all perfectly cast in these roles. I wish I liked the film more, but I do applaud it for those merits that I mentioned. The next film we're talking about is Finding Ohana, directed by Jude Wang. The movie is about a girl who is a geocaching expert setting out to discover a long-lost treasure while staying in Hawaii with her family due to a family illness. A lot of people have been comparing it to The Goonies, and I think that's exactly on par. This is basically a Hawaiian Goonies, and there's nothing wrong with that, but with that being said, it does feel a bit familiar. You kind of see where the story's going, and you can kind of predict every beat along the way. And I do think it's a little bit too long for a kids movie. Toward the end, I was starting to, lose a little bit of interest. But I do think the casting in this film is really great. I think all the characters are memorable personalities. I think they bring a lot of passion and love to the material. Like I said, it's a kids movie, so I might not have been in the target audience for this film, but I can definitely appreciate it. It's a solid kids movie. The best part about the film, though, was seeing Jonathan K. Kwan. If you don't know who Jonathan K. Kwan is, he played Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He played Data in The Goonies. He hasn't been in in movies for maybe like 20 years, I think it was. I think his last movie was in like 2002. So to see him back on screen, it was a really pleasant surprise, and I have to give it up to the casting department for finding him and getting him interested in this movie and getting him to agree to do this movie, because he's been so out of the limelight, and it was really nice. It was like a nostalgia trip for my childhood to see Jonathan K. Kwan on screen again, and I'll tell you, it definitely made my day. The last movie I'm going to be talking about is Penguin Bloom, directed by Glendon Ivan. This movie is about a woman, Sam Bloom, played by Naomi Watts, who suffers an accident on a family trip to Thailand. At the same time, her family takes in an injured baby magpie named Penguin. It's about the journey of both Sam and Penguin as Sam copes with this new disability and Penguin learns to fly. It sounds very sappy. The synopsis does sound sappy, and it does kind of push the envelope and get a little overly sentimental at times. But honestly, I really prefer movies that make me feel something than movies that leave me completely cold to it. So I do recommend Penguin Bloom because it just put a smile on my face the whole time. I will have to warn you, there are no actual penguins in the movie. Penguin is the name of the magpie, which I have to say, I'm very impressed at the bird acting in this film. 80% of the film is shot with real birds, and Penguin does a lot of action in this movie. Penguin is played by 10 different birds because, as we see, Penguin grows throughout the film, and it wasn't like Boyhood where they needed to sit with this actual bird as it grew. Instead, they used 10 different birds to show the different stages in Penguin's life. But I have to give it to them. They say the two hardest things to work with in film and theater is kids and animals, and this film deals with both kids and animals, and I think all the kids are well cast and great actors, and the birds themselves do a excellent job. Maybe a supporting actor nomination next year? Who knows? We'll see. Andrew Lincoln plays Naomi Watts' husband, and I think this is a really nice role for him because it's a much warmer Andrew Lincoln than we're used to seeing for years on The Walking Dead. It's so distinctly opposite from the gruff Rick Grimes role, and it was really nice to just see Andrew Lincoln take on that other type of role. Naomi Watts is, of course, incredible. I mean, I couldn't have cast a more perfect actress for this role, but I will say, we have to stop sending her characters to Thailand, because there's another film that came out in 2011 called The Impossible, where Naomi Watts heads to Thailand on a family vacation, and there is a tsunami. And now in this film, she goes to Thailand and there's another accident with her. So I really think Naomi Watts has had her fair share of tragic experiences for her characters in Thailand. So maybe her next few films will steer away from Thailand. But in all seriousness, I really, really liked Penguin Bloom. It's probably my favorite of the 4 films I'm mentioning here, just because it took me by surprise the most. I was expecting something really, really sappy and campy, and it does get a little sappy and campy, like I mentioned, but at the end, I just couldn't help but smile, and those are my favorite types of movies, the ones that just make me feel good and make me feel happy, and this is probably the one I'm most likely to revisit because of that. So those are the 4 reviews for those 4 movies. As I said, all of them, I think, have really particular, specific audiences that will really like them. I think The White Tiger is for someone who wants a darker biopic, something with a lot of heavy weight to it. The Dig is a great, just peaceful, tranquil watch if you just want something to kind of relax with and put on to enjoy and sit with and ponder. Finding Ohana is a great kids movie. I think kids will really like it. And Penguin Bloom, I think, is just sure to put a smile on your face. It's just a really well-told story with some great characters and an adorable little bird performance. Let me know what you thought of these 4 movies if you saw them in the comments. If you haven't seen them, go check them out and then come back here on this channel and comment and let me know how you liked them. As always, you can check me out here on the Dill Pickle Movie Network. I'm giving you new videos every single week. And you can find me on my podcast with Kelsey Kilpatrick. It's called Marvelous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. That'll be found here on YouTube in video format and anywhere you can get podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all those places. Wherever you download podcasts, you can find us. So please, download, give us some likes, give us some subscribes, give us some star ratings. Give us 5 stars if you like us that much. I'd really, really appreciate anything. Everything goes a long way. Every little thing goes a long way. So please check those out. And I cannot wait to talk more movies as they come out throughout the year. I know January has been a little light, and I think February will be a little light too. But once March rolls around, I think we're going to be starting to see some bigger films, and I cannot wait to review them here on this channel. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.